Welcome, man. I'm actually super pumped about today's conversation. I feel like I know you, but like I don't actually know you because we
Mm,
have so many mutual colleagues and friends,
yeah, that's right.
and also clients, actually.
Yeah, because I've obviously referred you, people to come your way.
Yeah, which is very, very nice of you. So I'm super pumped about, properly actually hanging out for this next hour.
Let's go. I'm looking forward to
uh,
it.
so, I mean, maybe we just start with like, who are you?
See
Because
that?
that's probably a question I would ask you if I was just meeting you properly for the first time.
Yeah, and
Who are you, Alex?
that's it's a deep question that I actually have struggled to answer. It might sound funny to people, but I've put my hand in so many different pies over the years as I've grown from a strength and conditioning coach or personal trainer, strength and conditioning coach, to a yoga teacher, and then adding so many layers to my belt, to my skill set, because I've just been insatiably obsessed and curious in trying to understand the entire human body and how to actualize its potential for health and wellness and performance. And I would say I'm now this polymath coach, is how I would, I guess, call myself, trying to get people really unstuck from a lot of their debilitating health and fitness and like challenges and obstacles that is really having them suffering through life. But now, which I think was our conversation will probably go, is in the last year and a half, I've gone much more down as well to add the business route of like, all right, now I'm mentoring many of my young mentees and young coaches and business owners in general to grow and develop their business from, zero clients, almost $0 to, 100K and dozens of clients, and just be financially stable and free and have systems and not be so overwhelmed with everything. And that started coming about from just, or very organically, just people, mentees or clients of mine asking me, hey, well, can you teach me this? And it kind of started from there. And then the third piece is just mentoring other coaches. So who am I is hard to encapsulate in one or two sentences. So it's all these three things that kind of I've become, I guess.
Well, I think you did a pretty good job just then,
Okay.
packaging all that. The
I'm
three
like,
pillars, we can call them.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so interesting about the business side of things. I mean, how do you feel about this new online business space?
Okay.
Because, bro,
Yeah,
I fucking hate it.
I know.
But I actually really appreciate people who truly, like yourself, and I've definitely got other friends who actually truly know what they're doing and are effective and are very helpful. But I just feel like it's just gotten out of control.
I would love to hear more of your thoughts because I saw your story and I'm like, damn, is she talking about me here accidentally? I'm like,
No. Well, I mean, I don't think so. It's more like I just feel like
tell me.
there's a lot of exploitation taking place, you know? So there's a lot of people. I just see the trajectory being online health coach.
Mm,
Within 6 months, you're now an online mindset
yeah.
coach. And then in another 6 months, you're an online business coach. And I'm like, what?
And my question, look, first of all, is like, are they getting results with people? Right. That's
Well, that's the other question because you don't know. Because
right.
like socials are so like, what is actually going on behind the scenes here, right? So
Like
that's the other issue.
like sharing a screenshot is one thing. Sharing how much ink, like that's a common thing to do nowadays. Like, let's share how much revenue we're making. They'll put like this big. I know that probably bugs you. But it's another thing then to do what I do is like, okay, share conversations. Like I will share actual conversations with clients and mentees of mine to show like, okay, this is a very real thing. But look, I think people are trying to capitalize on a market. For those who don't know, there's a lot of young fitness influencers and coaches who are getting into this business mentorship space. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like they've ever run multiple successful businesses themselves, but they have learnt some principles and theories. They've never owned multiple companies or sold a company, and even operated businesses outside of the health and fitness space. And that, if you ever want to go down the road, if you're ever looking for somebody to help guide you to grow your business or learn that skill set, I would encourage you to see if that person has real skin in the game. And fortunately, I never knew it would help me to this day as it has been. But when I co-owned a Certificate 3 and 4 RTO, a company, registered trade organization, that qualified personal trainers or people to become personal trainers. And that was probably one of the most challenging and formative business experiences I've ever had, to run and operate, a company that had so much at stake, and then sell it. And that gave me a level of experience and skill set and confidence and acumen that I just don't know how I would be able to speak with such conviction otherwise.
Or integrity.
Integrity, yeah, absolutely.
Well, this is something I say often when I'm having a bitch and moan about some of these people. It's like, show me the business that you built up and then sold for $1 million or 2 million or 10 million. Show me that business. Because until you can show me that you've actually done it, why would I ever entrust you to then tell me how to run my business?
Right.
So it's, I think, like, to your point, the fact that you've actually done that and experienced that actually puts you in that point of authority and integrity. But there's very few people like you, I would say.
I appreciate that. And I think that's when we have to do, like, you do a great job. Like, you're a savage, Holly, in the best way. Where you're courageous. What I mean is you're courageous.
Thanks,
you're willing to call. I haven't seen you call individuals out that often, but like call ideas out and principles out.
I would never call a person out.
Okay, that's a principle of yours that you just don't want to go there.
I just feel like it's really low vibe consciousness.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think it's okay to call principles out for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, no, you're fine. Calling principles out and the principles of running, like, does the person have skin in the game?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, help me understand, like, who are most of the people listening? Because that'll help me understand, like, is it more business owners? Is it more just everyday, like, our clients?
Probably a bit of both, I would say. I'd probably say we've got a lot of coaches in my audience and a lot of definitely online coaches, especially post-COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Because people had to pivot. They had to do something in order to survive. But now they're probably in this weird limbo where they feel like they have to stay online, and maybe they don't even want to. Or they found that being online is better for them, but they don't really know how to sell themselves. So I would say that there are a lot of coaches listening, for sure.
Okay. When I started, I definitely stigmatized online coaching. I don't know about you, but I stigmatized it hard. Like, when I started, it was like 8 years ago, and I judged it hard. I'm like, nah, these online coaches are not real coaching. It's like, I would fitness influence. They just want some money, sell some ebooks, right? And me and my colleagues, we really put a pedestal on in-person coaching and the skill set that you build in person being paramount to understanding behavior change and how to work with people and interpersonal skills. And then later on, I realized I was wrong. It's like, oh, there's a way to do this that actually gets way better results for the individual and the person. And the accountability, I mean, as we know now, like, the amount of accountability, the check-ins, the systems that we create, the spreadsheets that we create to hold people accountable to measuring and monitoring important metrics about their health and wellness and life. And now people are not, it's not a transactional service anymore of coming in for a one-on-one and leaving, or a group class. It's transformational. It's, I'm holding you accountable every step. And I think the online coaching mentorship space, while it's been stigmatized, I don't know if it is much right now, but it had so much utility and value if done effectively, because a lot of my mentees, they come to me, or a lot of my young coaches, and they're just trading time for money. And I think I think it's good to eat some shit. I actually encourage them to do that. It's like, good. It humbles you. But
it creates wisdom as well,
Yes, through the experience.
Mm.
And then later on, they're like, man, I'm struggling to pay my bills. Like and my clients aren't even getting these great results that I'm wanting to get with them. And then we incorporate these systems, and it opens things up for people. And it's not to try and be greedy or make millions of dollars. It's just help your clients more effectively and be financially stable so you can take care of yourself and your family.
I love that. I mean, what are some of those systems that, I mean, without sort of giving away, you know, the paywall, what's behind the paywall, what are some of those key things that you would say, whether you're running a gym or you're an online health coach, or you don't even have to be in health, but you're trying to run your own business. What are some of those key systems that you feel like people, one, really lack, but two, really need?
That's a great question. I love the question of systems. But before I get to that, I think the principle I need to mention is most people day to day, their inputs tie very tightly with their outputs. What this means is that the analogy is you're trading time for money. 1 hour of work gets you X amount of dollars and Y output in your efficiency. The problem about this is the inputs and outputs are very tied together. And we know intuitively this is a very inefficient system in of itself. And so one of the systems is understanding the principle that to create financial stability and freedom and an efficiently running business, it's very difficult to scale yourself in your business when your inputs and outputs are tightly tied together, when you are required for everything you do in your business to trade your own time. And so an example of this would be, well, if I hire you, Holly, to help me with my health, we might go on a check-in call. You might create some programs and write me a plan up. But it really doesn't matter how long I don't care how long that takes you, as long as it gets me the result. You could have systems and programs in place that are like templates for certain types of people that you modify individually. And so now that allows you, for example, you being so experienced in the realms of, for example, female health, you've seen a problem so many times that you can apply, your inputs and outputs don't have to be tightly tied together, meaning you can create a result in a very expedient amount of time. Instead of trading, all right, this takes 1 hour to do this. No, I have this system. What are those systems? Those systems are, if you have to say something or repeat something more than 3 times, you should really question whether it can be automated or systemized. This could be everything from, messaging and onboarding clients. Like, why am I find myself repeating the same thing every time? It could be, you find yourself explaining tutorials and Q&As, and when clients go work with me, there'll be a onboarding, like there'll be a system, and so there'll be videos I've already pre-made. I found myself repeating how to use these spreadsheets every time. I'm like, whoa, it's a waste of time. Record videos for that. It would be, oh my God, it's a big one. Booking people in. Actually, we fortunately did it very quick. We were able to book in this podcast over a message pretty quick, right? When you're available. But that is a fucking waste of time. And that shit, when I see other businesses doing that, not you, this is not you.
I'm just taking notes silently. Do not DM him about booking a podcast.
No, the reason is time.
Yeah.
Because often, fortunately, we did it in 2 minutes, but often people go back and forth so many times. And so you'd think, all right, if I need to book an appointment with someone, I need to use a system. So you would use a booking appointment app. I don't need it. I'll share it. Everybody who runs a business, who does any type of booking, go to calendly.com and use that. It will save you so many hours. And it has automations built in where when someone's made a booking, they get text, they get emailed, they get notified. You can set up a backend where they get links. And so I would get people to question anything you have to repeat multiple times. And an example of this in our space is like, well, we've prioritized and put on a pedestal individualization of programs, for example. And it's another thing I don't know what you think, but it's another thing I've definitely changed my mind on, is that if someone wants a certain result, they are their own unique human. There's some personalization that needs to be had, of course. But there's a system that works to create a certain outcome, whether it's fixing someone's bacterial overgrowth in their gut, whether it's getting them fertile, right? Analyzing their blood work, growing their business, getting them stronger and bigger in the gym. There is a system that works for that. And I think we try and almost to placate to our own values of like, oh, I'm the individualized coach. I'm the guy or girl who makes sure everything is individualized, and I rewrite my programs almost from scratch every time. And this is an utter waste of time, because people don't care how long you take on it. They just want the result. And you can develop systems in place to be like, okay, hold on, I'm seeing patterns here. I know this type of system or template works for this type of person and goal, so I can, over years and time, I can just create systems and templates. So now my inputs don't have to be tied closely to my outputs anymore, and things can be much more efficient. So I would think about how you can stop trading time for money, or trading time for a result, and create systems in things that you have to repeat more than a few times.
I think that's a really good point, because it's definitely something, as I've grown in myself and, gone from being on the gym floor to running my own business, like I've experienced that, It's funny you mentioned Calendly. Like when I first started the women's series, oh my God, 3.5 years ago, which is crazy.
Wow.
My initial system was there was a booking link on my website, but then that didn't have, it was not set up properly. And then I would have to personally email them to fill out a questionnaire, and then the questionnaire wouldn't go to something. And so, but now it's just like you either use Calendly, like they just book on Calendly, they get the park queue sent to them. Like I don't even have to do anything.
Perfect.
Right. So I think that's such a good point. And it does come with experience of like trial and error and learning what does and doesn't work. I want to come back to that, because I do want to talk about, I guess what you're trying to say is like having a blueprint is okay, and then individualizing off that blueprint, which is definitely how I coach.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to come back to that point. But before we move away from business, so that's one aspect. So having systems that are more effective for your time are good. Beyond that, like what are some other things that people should be considering if they're doing well, but then they're sort of not growing beyond that 60K, 70K a year? Like, what are some of those sticking points that you see? What comes to mind for me, and I'd love your feedback on this, is things like brand identity, sales strategies, like content creation. Like that's what sort of comes to mind for me. But I'd love for you to maybe explore what those sticking points are.
Man, that's a great question. All right, let's see if we can maybe use you in an example.
You can use me as an example.
Okay, I'd love that. Can you tell me, Holly, what percentage of your clients come from word of mouth versus social media? Do you know?
I actually don't know that, so that's probably a good point. I would say I do track it. I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's a large amount is referrals.
Okay.
It's far more than socials.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how much time do you spend on social media? You're pretty active. Like how many maybe posts or hours a week do you think you spend on that?
Now not as much. I do one post a week.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
But when I started my business, it was 3 posts a week for 2 years.
3 posts a week for 2 years. Okay. So for those listening, like understand that people might look at you now and see the consistency is like, Holly's not as consistent. Well, to get to where Holly is, she had to be consistent, right? Same with me. I'm not posting as much, but every single day I said, I'm sick of this. I'm just going to work harder than everybody, right? I'm going to out-consistent you. Now, most of them come from word of mouth for you. I believe, if I recall correctly, I've got about 40% of my clients will come from word of mouth. Okay, so now the next question is, Holly, and for the people listening is, all right, how many systems do you have for driving referrals and word of mouth?
Not enough. And that is what I'm working on this year, people.
Okay.
are my sales strategies.
All right. So
because this is a sticking point I've found for myself in my business. I've hit my tunnel for sure.
Okay. So then, this actually could be really practically useful for you. Let's see what we can do. So once a week, social media is actually good because it allows you a lot of freedom. You're not necessarily posting every day there, okay? So you have time you can reallocate. But often, and this was the case for me, I'm just like, hold on. 30-40% of your business comes from word of mouth. Let's just say it's 40. Let's say you make 100K. That's $40,000 that is just coming from word of mouth. Okay? With no referral systems, with no like robust systemized referral systems. All right? What happens if we just put a couple in place? What happens if half the clients that we work with who are our raving fans would refer just one person over the next 6 months? Right? Now, you just added $20,000 to your total revenue. It's like, damn. And just through a referral system. And that's just half, right? And that's just 100K, right? It obviously increases the higher those numbers go. So I'd ask everybody listening, all right, and yourself, where is the acquisition coming from? Where is the majority of your clients and leads and people coming from? Then figure out the percentage. Ask yourself, how much time am I spending on each acquisition source? If social media is lower for you, why are you spending every single day posting? Like, and almost no time nurturing the people that got you to the dance? We need to be like, I'm just thinking, I'm like, holy shit, like, we need to be super thankful for them because like we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them taking a risk and being courageous enough to work with us. So there's an element of integrity that I believe they should be rewarded, but also like that's also just a very smart business strategy is, well, if most of your clients are coming from word of mouth, let's implement a referral strategy. So last week.
So it's knowing your numbers, I guess, like understanding those percentages and really being clear on where people are coming from within your business is a key part of being able to scale.
Because that's going to give you clarity of decision. If it's all from social media and ads, you need to go harder in there. Great. It's working.
Sure.
All right. So if you don't mind me asking, do you have, okay, I'll give you my example first. So to make it easier to open up.
I'm like, all right, bro, hang on. How much am I divulging here on my podcast?
We can cut it. I have historically given a scaled system. So every time someone refers me a client word of mouth, you know, I will give them a monetary like cash. It'll be, if I recall correctly, it's 150. Then the second client is 200, goes up to 300, and it caps at 400. I haven't had someone refer me 4 clients, so I haven't gifted that out yet. But do you have anything in place, whether it's a referral strategy?
So I run an alumni process. So basically, if you ever come within the TWS womb, like especially in more my mentoring space, you become part of the alumni, and then that allows you heavy discounts on further programs, and if you refer in, you actually get free access to further programs. So to your point, like I do have a very much give back, support the people who are supporting me. And I find that I actually have quite a lot of people who stay within my womb, which is a weird thing to say, but stay within my womb, stay within my circle for years because of that whole thing of supporting the people that, you know, support you.
So
they become your raving fans, as Gary Vee says.
Yeah.
Gary Vee?
Well, Kevin Kelly wrote this thing called 1,000 True Fans, which I would highly recommend people read if they want to understand more about marketing. So, you know, the principle of you only need 1,000 true fans to pay you $100 per year, I believe, to make you 100K, you know, a stable living. And that we're trying to reach all these millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people, where really the focus should be more on quality and depth of connection rather than just broad spectrum awareness. But I can see both being valuable. But now, for you and everybody listening is, okay, what happens if we put a referral strategy in? So last week, I was with my mentor, Kyle Goodman, the co-owner of Athletes Authority. We sold our company, Orphic Education, to his company and him. And now him running a multi-million dollar business, very good person to learn off. We had 30 really high level practitioners and business owners and allied health professionals in the room bouncing ideas off each other. It was amazing. And some things that we were talking about was exactly this, is to grow your business, there are really main three ways. You increase the frequency of a transaction, you increase the amount of a transaction, or you increase the amount of customers. Increasing the amount of customers is actually one of the hardest because it takes so long. Like, often can take, there's mixed kind of research on this, like sometimes dozens and dozens of times for a person to get exposed to you before they make a purchase.
Well, our mutual friend, Olivia, actually texted me yesterday and said she just read that it takes 50 times for someone to see something for them to actually purchase, because she's obviously, for those listening, she's the founder of Femtech, so she's in a startup herself.
Yeah.
50 times.
50. So do you think, guys, that maybe we're going to have to give a lot more than we ask for? Right? And like, this is probably testament to you. Like, a strategy I would definitely pull for you, Holly, is email marketing. You know, you probably have a lot of people in your ecosystem and emails, and it's a very good strategy that you can use to deliver education, content, and value, and transact with people in a more, sometimes more efficient and effective way than just posting on Instagram or your social media. The psychology of it is a bit different from these platforms. But 50 times. So that says, all right, if I need 50 times, I need to like give a lot. Emails, social media, I need a lot of touch points, right? And so one of the things that I tell my mentees and tell myself is like, yesterday I just gave it out. I did an update on, I give this like functional blood analysis, like cheat sheet of like, all right, go to my doctor. What the hell do I say? What the hell do I ask for? Right? And this is something I've had to clients, right? It's been private, but now I'm like, so many people have this question. I thought I'd just give it out for free, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to get it. The only thing I require from you is your email, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty good exchange, an email for like solving this big problem. And if you continually do that and you just give away, might sound strange, but honestly, like give away some of your best stuff. I'm not saying everything, but like, don't be afraid that people won't work with you if you give away your best stuff. I think that's a famine mentality that we have, is like, oh, we'll keep it and hold it to ourselves. I don't believe in that. I believe that, you know, it helps you be at the forefront of people's mind when they think they need to solve a problem. I think it's just the kind thing to do, and who you are matters like more importantly than what you do maybe. And so it's a good idea to constantly distribute and build your ecosystem and build an email list. And then, like you said, 50 times. So man, maybe you'll need a post, not you, but like you're in a good position, but maybe you do. Maybe you would need a post more than once a week at this point, or change the strategy.
Well, it's one strategy. That's how I see it. So, you know, we're talking about the strategy of referrals and I don't know what you actually call it, if there's an actual word for it, but repeat customers.
Yeah.
And that's one strategy. And then another strategy is maybe you put a bit of money into low cost ads for your socials. And that's another sales strategy. And then you've got, you know, DMs, like that's another sales strategy. So you've got like different strategies that you can pull the lever on back and forth, depending on, I guess, to your point, where you know that most of your traffic is ideally coming from. But you have to know that.
You have to know it.
Like, and a lot of people probably don't know that.
No.
Because how do you even collect that information? Like, that's something that I've learned running my business last year was, you know, it's so simple, but part of my questionnaire intake or application intake, there is a question that says, how did you find me? You know, but it's like something so simple can give you so much information in the back end to then be able to navigate and shift which strategy you put more into and which you lean away from. And I just feel like as well, there's so much competition online. Like it's so diluted, and people, I love that you said famine mentality. I think that's like such a good fucking soundbite.
Yeah, take it.
But that's what it is, right? It's this real, like, I've just got to keep up and try to put more and more content because I see these people who have 15 million, 20 million followers and they must be killing it. But it's like, yo, firstly, I know a lot of those people, and it's all bullshit.
Tell them.
It's
Tell them.
all bullshit.
It's a fucking facade.
It
It's
is
fucked.
a facade. I know people with 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers. They are not making cashola. I'm telling you right now.
Not only are they not making money, like, okay, our mutual friend, Ben, who you've had on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You know, between us three, we know quite a few people. And then not only are they not living with the integrity, not making a lot of money as much as they position themselves to be, they're fucked on the inside.
Fucked.
Now, I say this with respect and empathy, but I also say it with a level of, of responsibility. It's like you have a responsibility now to walk the walk. Mm-hmm. I took nearly 2 years off social media. I put not a noose to my business's neck, but I hit pause for 2 years because I couldn't fucking, I was frustrated. I'm like, I'm not living the example I need to set. Now, that's tough because I have a very strong value system that I've built. And I'm not saying mine is better, but I'm saying, if you're whatever business or profession you're in, do you embody the very things that you preach? Because your photos and your videos say one thing, but when you're at home by yourself and you're binge eating and your gut's fucked, and even more importantly, your psychology.
You're partying. Yeah, or you're not a nice person.
Yeah.
Or your emotional health is in the gutter. Yeah, I know, man. There's a real lack of integrity, but this is the issue with the social media landscape in general. I've got to give a shout out to my colleague, Ash Bowen. She's actually been on the podcast, but she had a huge cult following. Her original Instagram handle was Chicks Who Lift.
Yeah.
And she came up in the gym space, she did the bodybuilder stuff, she's got an amazing rig, all that sort of stuff. But as she's developed as a human, she's moved into that more psychology, emotional landscape. And that's, where she sits now, and that's where she works from. And she lives fully integrally with herself. And she's got a huge Instagram following, and she's just decided to start a new Instagram page because she's like, everyone who follows me isn't really here for this anymore. And that's a big thing to let go of a big audience to start again. But to your point, you have to have that integrity.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I know.
You can't, I don't know. It's hard to, I try and inspire integrity. I try and inspire a moral ethic in the people I work with because they obviously look up to me, but it's very difficult to do unless you can get within someone's inner circle because it's a inner character trait. But the money point, I also used to think self-limiting beliefs that I used to have is I thought that you had to have tens of thousands of followers to run a successful business. Actually, I need to tell you something. Story. When I saw Ben, right? When I first got Ben Cant, Benny Lifts on Instagram. Highly go follow him.
Listen to our podcast.
Oh yeah, true. They should have. I did my first check-in with him many years ago for skin folds. I go to his house. I'm like, wait, is that like a $200,000 Mercedes-Benz in the drive? It's like, hold on. I went to his house, have a good time. And I come out, I'm like, I didn't even know that was possible. And it's not about the car. It's about because he loves cars, I love cars. It's not about the car. It's not about the materialism. It's about what's possible. It's like, wait, you can run a successful multi-six-figure business being a health professional on your own, not having to work for someone? Yeah. Not having to trade every single moment of your day, every hour, trading time for money. I'm like, it's like that moment. I don't know if I've told him this story, but that moment was like, oh, I had to know it was possible. And now, I got nearly 4,000 people that follow me. But I'm like, you don't even need that many people to run a multi-six-figure business.
Well, at that point, Ben probably only had about 3,000 following him as well. But I think it's good that you're mentioning Ben because he's another person who actually comes from a point of authority in business because he ran multiple supplement stores, multiple businesses before he moved into this online coaching space. So again, but that's why, because both of you have obviously had that real life experience to be able to draw back on.
Yeah.
And this, circling all the way back to what I started with, was this is where I have a problem with this online business coaching space, because I would say majority of these people don't have that experience.
Yeah. And so that's up to us then to educate people, and it's like, vet the people you're working with.
Yeah.
Ask the hard questions. Hey, how long have you been doing this?
Yeah.
Do you have any videos of your clients getting the results? What's another good question? Have you run any other businesses? Understand how they've come from and why they're doing what they're doing.
How long we've been doing it as well is so important. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm glad. Okay, we're talking about integrity. One thing that I stand by, and I'd love to hear your feedback on this, is I feel like in order to have a successful business, and I'm going to talk specifically about health now, is a successful health business, is you actually need to know what you're talking about. Shock.
Go figure. Right? Who knew?
And I'm of the mindset that if anyone listening to this, myself included, if you invest more so in your education and in your knowledge of becoming a true leader, of becoming a true coach, of knowing how to problem solve with the person in front of you, that is organically going to transfer into a very healthy business, because you're going to know what you're doing, you're going to bring in referrals and so forth. What's your thoughts on that? Or do you feel like business strategy should come before, being really educated?
Wow. It's interesting you say that, because I'm running this 12-month coaching, very extensive mentorship for coaches to make them into mini versions of what I've become, right? And it's funny you say that, because I'm going to argue back and forth on this. I start with the business side, right? Although I agree that building skin in the game and building your skill set is fundamentally paramount and could be argued to absolutely go first. But the reason I start with the business, I changed it, because I'm like, wait, what's the problem? The problem is these fuckers are broke. They're really struggling, and they don't even know it's possible to be financially stable and not have to be so concerned about money it makes them anxious. And so what we do is I start off with the skill set they have, and they're all learning it together, conjunctively together. So I would say do both, but it's like you can understand good business principles and systems, but if you don't have a skill set to then apply that on, it's like building a foundation on sand or mud. It's weak. And when you get tested, and when you actually have to solve challenging problems in the real world, your business is good, but you won't keep clients. You won't have a level of conviction to help people. You just won't help people as effectively as you could. So I agree. It's fundamental and paramount to build that skill set ongoing forever. But I would encourage 168 hours in a week. It's like 112 hours after sleeping, right? So I would encourage, why can't we do them both at once? And that's what we try and do.
Yeah, well, I agree. I just find there's a lot of.
Go ahead. You don't hold back, Holly.
Well, it's just like you're dealing with people's lives.
Yeah, learn that shit.
Right. So especially if you're going, it's one thing to be pushing a ebook about training, right?
Yes.
That's one thing. You're not really going to fucking destroy someone if they don't know how to squat properly. I mean, you might, but it's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're positioning yourself as an expert in fertility or men's health or whatever, a niche that is a real pain point, and you don't really know what you're doing, or you don't fully know how to problem solve when that individual's in front of you, and you send them away with a subpar process,
Yes.
you can really fuck somebody's health up. You can
Absolutely.
really fuck somebody's life up. So that's just why I'm questioning it, because I've seen that happen. I've seen people, and I'm going to leave it at that. I've seen people
Yeah.
give gut protocols out who didn't really know what they were doing, and their clients ended up in the hospital. And it's just like, yo, you guys need to like really be clear on
Yeah.
your education
Yeah.
levels here.
You're totally right, Holly. And like, there's so many untold stories that we don't even know about, right?
For sure.
And so,
Surely, like, what would be the best example of this? The anabolic steroid space. Like, surely there's a lot of
yes.
coaches, like, they're like, yeah, take this, take that. And it's like, bro, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
I mean, I've had people I know and clients who will just take this stuff just off their own research.
Yes, that's what I mean.
I'm just like, whoa. Like, yeah, you can maybe read some articles and like, but like, that's arrogant. That's fucking arrogant. I'm like, man, you know how complex this is? So you don't even know what you don't know. And the same thing with holistic health and psychology and gut. And I have to be really, really careful, because I work with, like, people will come to me, like, I'm sure they come to you, like, trauma, PTSD, depression, like, anxiety. Like, they'll be crying every something week. And I'm like, you have to be really careful, because you open a Pandora's box.
The trauma space, like, that's another space that there's so many people online now positioning themselves as trauma experts. It's like, do you have a psychological degree that you've gone to university for 6 years, and then you've done further study on that? Because if you're going to fucking fuck with someone's trauma, you need to be able to know how to hold that for them.
Have you heard of this thing people do with shadow work, which is a reference to Carl Jung?
Shadow work. Here we go.
Have you heard of shadow work is actually a reference to psychoanalyst Carl Jung. But you haven't heard of it, so there's these professionals online who do this stuff with people, and I'm very wary. I'm like, yo, like, you gotta be so careful. Like, this is beyond someone's body is their mind, and right, and like, that's just. I don't know how you deal sometimes with the not the burden, but the responsibility of dealing with someone's health and psychology. But this shit like keeps me up at night. I'm like, right, like it keeps you like for hours just studying and seeking more resources and hiring other professionals to help you, because you have someone's life in your hands, and it's such a precious thing and something we should never take for granted. So I guess to go back to the question is like, work within your means. Absolutely work within the confines of your means and skill set. And that takes some integrity to do. I know this is young me. I've done this. I made this mistake. I positioned myself. I analyzed blood work. I used to say I analyzed blood work. Then I met Ben. I'm like, I had to take it down. I'm a fucking chimp. I'm a dickhead. I don't know.
I'm a fraud. Yeah.
Go ahead. You've been the same?
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm a fraud. Like, that feeling of like, oh, I actually don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah.
So I've been there. So have you. And work within your means. You can work within your means and still build your business at the same time. I think that's probably the most practical, succinct sentence, is if you have a skill set, you have a Cert 3-4, or whatever it is, great. You have a foundational understanding of physiology, anatomy, and training, maybe some basic nutrition. Work within that. I know you're excited to work with holistic health and psychology and maybe gut health and all these other things, but you just got to park that for a minute while you build the skill set.
For sure. And it's not to say that you can't come back to that. Or that becomes part of your repertoire as you get more experience working with people, as you fully immerse yourself and better understand those concepts, But you can't beat time. You can't beat like wisdom, right?
You like wisdom. Yeah.
Like if you don't have, like, I've got 15 years of time behind me now, 15 years of courses and books and studies. And so you can't buy that, right? And I'm sure you're the same. Ben's the same. Olivia's the same. So, this is why we get to where we are. But I'm glad you're saying that. Stay within your means, because it's so important. And I just go.
No, go. Finish your
No,
sentence.
no, I was just going to talk about myself. So I'm interviewing you, so you go.
Well, I wanted to make sure I go back. There's on the referral systems. There's like actually something really practical that I wanted to mention on. So I just wanted to mention that real quick to go back to it at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll
now?
go back to the referral system.
Yes, at some point.
Okay, well, we can go there now.
All right. I just had it in my head. I'm like, I gotta mention it because I want to give like practical heavy shit. So let's go back to the example of you. Most of yours coming from word of mouth. What is another thing that people don't realize is that we have to go back to business. You've worked with dozens, hundreds of people probably before you, no longer working with you. So you want to grow your business, work with more clients and customers. You're trying to find a whole new client who's fresh, right? You have to engage 50 times. Well, you already have someone who loves you and has worked with you before. And that's the hundreds or dozens of people that have come with you before. So what you would do is you get a spreadsheet, you go active clients, non-active clients, okay, customers, and you'd create a column, word of mouth, acquisition source, and then you have a drop down, word of mouth, social media, where else? You figure out the percentage. And for all of your old clients, the one thing that people don't do, or health professionals or businessmen and women don't do, is they rarely, if ever, re-engage their old people, right? Their old clients. It's like after someone stops working with a coach, how often do you actually hear from that person again?
Very, very few times.
Testament to Ben, because he told me that he does this, right? He'll just reach out of kindness, right? I love that. And so this is a system right here. So let's say you got 50 people, old people you worked with. What I've done recently, you guys are welcome to take this. I've created I communicate with all my clients in the WhatsApp and Discord that we have. I don't feel like it's really been popping off yet, right? It's not being used enough, but WhatsApp is. So I created a group chat, not with just my active clients, but I put some of my more meaningful and engaged non-active clients, like people who've worked with years ago. And I put them all in a group. I said, hey guys, and I write this long, nice message. It's like, hey, I don't want to be that guy who you never hear from. I want to always be a support in your corner, like forever, right? In some way. Now, I'm not saying you need to coach them for free. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying what I did is I created a poll, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to start running free workshops, educations, have guests down to continue to deliver you guys education and empowerment, inspiration, and knowledge. And I'll do that for you, just include it in your coaching. And if you're not getting coached by me, no problem. Like, I just want you to feel like you still have some access to me, right? And you still have something from me. Now, imagine if you do that with every former client of yours, or almost every one. You know, even if almost all, maybe even if one or two of them, by just re-engaging an old client or customer, become a client again, because like, hey, you know what? I'm struggling with this thing again. That system just created you an extra, 3, 4, 5, 6 grand a year, right? Just from that moment, instead of, and that doesn't take very long, is just to reach out and see how people are going. So if you do that at scale, and then continually engage old people through systems like education, then whenever they have a problem again, well, you'll probably be first on their mind.
That's right.
And so now, instead of trying to work so hard to find new people, you can just rely on the people you've worked with. And then another thing is incentivize them. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll give it to you guys. I'm ridiculous, like with how I just want to give away money to people, and just really, the question would be, how much money would I have to give someone? What would I have to do for someone for them to guarantee they could refer me a client?
I don't know.
Right? So I did this experiment. I was in my business mentorship session. I had 7 mentees in there, and I pulled out my phone, and they said some numbers. They said like, all right, $500-$600. So it's I did this you can see it on my social media. You can see this, right? So it's like, all right, Lucky, 600. All right, check your bank account. Just transferred him $600, right? Another one, Jason, how much? So, okay. So like, and I positioned the conversation. I'm like, okay, show me. Now do it. And they're like, okay. And they were pretty excited and G'd up to like, okay. It's like they obviously got quite a bit of money and now they can practice their sales skills as well. And I can test this theory. And so the question would be for the people listening and you, Holly, is like, what would be a nice incentive for people to encourage them to think of me to refer other people? And that could be as simple as putting at the end of your email signature as like, hey, I do $150 cashback referrals. It could be, I'm going to do a little game where it's going to be a raffle. So every time someone refers me a client, they go into a raffle. And it gets $500, accumulates every time there's a referral. So if there's 5 referrals in here, it's $2,500. And it goes up in stages. And then I'm going to we're just going to pick a winner. And I'm not just going to do money. I want to do experiences as well. I'm like, maybe at the 8 referral mark, they get a trip to America. Maybe at the 10 referral mark, they get like something else crazy. And it's just kind of fun games that you can use to incentivize people to do what they were going to do anyway, but people don't think about it. People don't care. Your clients are not thinking about growing your business. You have to. So you need to implement referral strategies. So now if we go back to the example of like, all right, let's say 40% of your clients and customers come from word of mouth. Maybe you get 1 per month or 1 every 2 months. You put a strategy in place. Now you can double that, maybe triple that, and you just maybe 2x your business or 3x your business in the span of 12 months with just some smart referral strategies, and it cost you $0.
I love that. And you're working with people who already trust you.
Exactly.
So you don't even really have to sell yourself at that point. Yeah.
They trust you. The people they'll refer are going to be probably like-minded anyway. The type of client you'd probably want to work with anyway.
Yeah, that's true. So you don't have to weasel them out.
So I just had to drop that. I was just eating away.
Well, I love that. I mean, it's a good way to, I guess, wrap up our conversation today. Yeah, I mean, there's so many easy strategies that people can lean on and do that doesn't like mean they have to sit there posting a bazillion pictures on Instagram or, cold DMing 100 people. I mean, the cold DM thing. Yeah, that's what I feel about that.
But you don't even have to do it cold, right? Just like random people, you mean, right?
It's just
you do it. I actually tell this one to my mentees. This requires some hustle. Like, all right, you really want to grow a business? All right. Well, all those people that follow you, reach out to them.
Yes.
Every single person that follows you, reach out to them. Just say thank you. Say, hey, if you ever need anything, I still do it to this day. Not every person, but some people. And I say thank you. I appreciate it. If you ever need anything, let me know. Some people are really appreciative. Some people don't respond. I've gotten clients from this. I swear.
Yeah, of course. Of course. But yeah, the cold DM thing, oh my God, we could be here all day talking about that.
We could be here as long as you want.
Well, I would love to keep going, but I have a 9-month-old and my husband is comp prepping today. So
is he?
Yeah, he does comp training on a Saturday and he's got comps coming up. So, I'm on the clock.
That's okay.
But thank you for joining me today. Where can people work with you? Where can they get support from you? Maybe definitely in this business landscape that we've been talking about.
If you guys, even if you have questions, like this doesn't need to be a sales pitch. Even if you just guys have questions and are wondering like, hey man, like I just have some follow-ups. I just love some support. You can go on my Instagram, Strength of Saad, SAAD, or strengthofsaad.com. And the business mentorship I run is on my website as well that you can read. But I have an email newsletter that's free where I just give out, marketing, sales, psychology, behavior, money and business strategies. Every couple of weeks, I'll just send like a really practical email that is on my mind. So maybe for your listeners, that would be probably the most practical thing that they could take away.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, man.
You're welcome.